Oh my gosh, I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Hey, 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 hey. It's Miss Tiffany, head Imaginarian of Imagireader. Thank you so much for being here. I can't believe that it's 2025 already. Like, it's 2025. And before you know it, I know, I won't even say it. But thank you for being here. I'm so excited. This is our very first Q&A of the year. I don't even think we had that many last year, but if you're joining, whether you're joining live, whether you're joining later, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You could be doing anything. I know how busy it is on the internet, just period in our lives. So thank you for being here. So I promised a short and sweet presentation, and that's what I'm going to give you. I promise, I promise, I promise. So we're going to dig right in. But first, I'd like to share something with you. Now, keep in mind, if you are joining, hey, how are you? Oh my gosh, my friend is here. My friend is here. Well, my friends are here. My family in Tulsa. Oh my goodness. I miss them so much. I miss you all. I miss you all. So thank you for being here. If you have questions, I was about to say it's hard for me to navigate by myself, but if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Okay. Two moms responded and said, Tiff, this is my, oh my goodness, this is my downtime. This is my getting the kids together time. So they sent me their questions, and two questions I actually have on the presentation I'm going to answer live. But if you have questions, whether you're here live, whether you join later, please put them in the comments. I want to be able to address every single question. And the way that I thought we would do this tonight, because again, I wanted to be easy peasy, is I wanted us to start like me and the kids do. We start with a breathing exercise. So let me get this presentation together for you. Let's see here. How do we share? So much has changed with this platform. So just bear with me, peoples. Bear with me here. Let's see. How can I, yes, present, share screen. I think that's it. I think that's it. All right. Can you all see that? I wonder, can you see it? I wonder, can you see it? Can you see it? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get through the presentation. First and foremost, like I said, we're gonna do some breathing with brain. Oh, here are the Imagireading peeps. And who is that at the bottom? Robot G. If you're not familiar with our brand new series and then the robots, you can check it out here on YouTube. We have a brand new episode coming up. I believe it's next Saturday. But here are the Imagireading peeps. If you haven't met the Imagireading peeps, shame, shame, shame. They are our characters along with the kids and the rambunctious robot G. You got to check out the series, y'all. You got to check out the series. This robot is so overzealous. His one job is supposed to be helping me teach the class and helping the Imagireading peeps to stay on task. No, he can't do that because, he's Robot G. So you got to check out the series. Not just saying it's good because we did it, but it's awesome. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and take our deep breaths. Now we won't do anything in particular here. Normally I do a 4-7-8. Sometimes I do a 3-6-9 with the kids, but we won't do anything in particular. Just want to get us in a space to open up the brain and to get it flowing and working. So just invite you to take some deep breaths right now. I'm going to just mute so we can do that. Okay. Brain activated. Look at brain. Look at brain. what I normally explain to the kids, and you'll find this in our brand new readE Academy, is when we're breathing all the time for our heart. It's why we have the sayings, you can break someone's heart, because literally if you're not breathing well, your lungs are not doing what they need to do, your heart is not doing what it needs to do, you can skip a beat, palpitate, if you will, and literally break your heart. Every single day we're breathing for our heart. When we take the time to reset and deeply breathe, we're breathing for our brain, and we activate the 3 major parts of the brain that is ready to learn. So I always want to start with breaths as often as possible, not just for our kids, but for our parents. Just, we need to breathe. It's a lot going on right now. So I'm glad that we were able to do that. Speaking of Brain's going to accompany us in the presentation tonight. He's such a cool character. He's going to do that. And, he's going to show up here and there just to get you acclimated with what his job is in the readE Academy. So if you haven't already, again, feel free to pop your questions in the comment area or send them to me direct. I don't know. I think my mom that's here can definitely, I can't see the screen, I'm going back and forth, can tell you that if you send me something, I may not respond right away, but I got you, right? This is very, very important. I need this to be the event that sets our Imagireaders up to finish the school year strong. And because I take the time and the energy. You have questions, whether your baby is struggling and or reluctant, whether they have an IEP in place. I know it's called something different in every district. Whether your child is neurodiverse, it doesn't matter. If you look at our Imagiread values, every single child on this planet is capable of being a strong reader, regardless of their abilities. Okay, so drop your questions, your best question. I ain't had a question that I can't answer yet. I'm just saying. So do that, and I will answer it. So what I thought would be helpful is, of course, I'm a teacher, and this is what teachers do. Teachers take complex issues or challenges, if you will, and they try to make it bite-sized for kids to understand. So tonight, what I want us to do was introduce this conversation, if you will, with us understanding it through a 187 lens. Now, I hate that I picked 187 because that does sound a little violent, but roll with me, stay with me. For tonight's conversation, for our intents and purposes tonight, what I'd like for us to think about is whether we have a struggling reader, a strong reader that just needs help in fluency, whether we have a average reader that really needs some help with proficiency. It doesn't matter. Struggling reader, reluctant reader, just bombing out on every single test, does not like tests. It doesn't matter. What I want us to do is think about this 187 method so we can get rid of it, right? So here's what I'd like for you to know. First and foremost, we're going to go backwards. There are 7 readiness factors when we're thinking about what we need to do to improve our children's literacy development. Now, that's a whole conversation in and of itself, but briefly, there is a stark difference between reading readiness and literacy development readiness. Okay, and we can have that conversation, but I'm just warning y'all, you might not like what I have to say. It's not one and the same. It's not synonymous, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. Literacy development is what is necessary and needed to be a good, strong reader. The foundation is literacy. The house is reading. Okay. So I just want to make that distinction because that's what it is. You can't have one without the other, for sure, but they're not synonymous in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So I often have parents come to me and they say, well, my child is struggling with, comprehension. And I'm like, okay, which comprehension? And they're like, comprehension. I've said this before, there are 8 different types of comprehension. And actually, believe it or not, there will be a 9th added here soon because of where we are with technology. So there are blanket responses for certain things that I don't like. I kind of cringe when I hear parents tell me, oh, this person said this. I'm not going to blame everything on teachers. I'm not going to blame it all on administrators. I understand that there's a system. Systems are upheld by mechanisms, and I understand the norm is out there. But when we're looking at this in terms of readiness, literacy development readiness, here are the 7 factors that we need to keep in mind, okay? Now, you'll notice that these have more to do with awareness than they do performance. That's not a coincidence. At Imagiread, we don't believe in performative measure. We don't believe in that. It's easy for anybody to perform. I can get you to do a song and dance. You'll probably do it again and again and again. That equates to rote memory. That does not tell me that you are actually activated and ready to learn. That just tells me you're able to do a song and dance. So much like a lot of what we're teaching our children that they have to spit back or regurgitate, it's not efficient, okay? These are the 7 factors, okay? If they can hear and repeat, right? They have to be aware. If they can see it, say it. Aware. The oral language development. Who's heard, you just talk to your child. Talking is teaching. There's a program out there now. Yeah, that's awareness. That's I'm talking to you. I'm conversing. We're engaging. I say something. You say something. Even alphabetic knowledge, the principle of the alphabets, it's still awareness, right? At first, it's A, B, C, D, and I'm a musician, so I can get into that later. But all of this is awareness. It's not performative. It's whether you can acknowledge that right now, what is in front of you is print material versus phonics, right? I don't want to go into how I feel about phonics. We can go into that. Like I said, I left my email address out there. You can drop it in the comments. I'm anti-phonics, but that's another day. But I say all that to say, these are the 7 readiness factors. They all come back to awareness. Look at number 7, memory and attention. I'm saying this to you because it's obvious. Literacy development, reading, writing, math, science, whatever it is, all of it is contingent upon your baby's awareness, their ability to be attentive, not just sit still. I don't know how reasonable that is. Like, who can sit still for 8 hours? I'm just saying it's their awareness. Okay. So once we understand that, kind of give us some space to open up the conversation and have a true dialogue. Now, since we know that there are 7 readiness factors, now we need to talk about the standards. Well, why do the standards matter, Miss Tiffany? Well, here's what I'm really asking you to be aware of. These are the overarching standards, no matter where you are, what state you're in. These are the overarching ELA standards, language arts standards. Speaking and listening, again, awareness. Reading and writing, awareness. Reading literature, reading informational or technical text, right? Writing, language, handwriting, independent reading and writing. Now, all of these standards have substandards, okay? There are combined more than 60, I believe, with the U.S. Department of Education, with them taking a turn to do some things with formative assessments and global education, things are shifting, especially with new president coming in, all that stuff, all that jazz. We're going to see some changes here in the Department of Education and the way that they do things. But I say that to say, as it stands right now, we have 8 overarching standards. And now these standards evolve every year. So if you're first grade, second grade, they continue to evolve, and so do those substandards. But let's go back to what we started with. We have 7 key areas that we need to be ready, and those are awareness, attentiveness, These are the overarching standards, why they need to be aware and attentive, because these are the 8 primary skills that they are responsible for throughout school, elementary, secondary, even when you think college, university. This is it right here. That's never going to change. So I say that to you because when parents are concerned about their child's progress, I wonder how many of us really know exactly what it is that our children are learning, right? Besides the fact that they're aware, attentive, or not, because again, that could have a multitude of reasons, right? I don't blame anything on just like, I don't think children are bad. I cringe when people say that. Children aren't bad. They see behavior and they may mimic it. They're sponges. But I do believe that there's a reason why children aren't getting it, why children aren't sitting still or aren't able to be aware. It could be diet. It could be a whole host of things. It could be hygiene. It could be a whole host of things. And I've seen a little bit of everything. So I never judge children, and I definitely don't judge families. Community is key. I say this to you because I want you to understand this model, right? So we started with 7, we went to 8, and now we're on 1. Okay, I hope this is making sense to you. 1. What's the one thing you can do to make sure that your child is attentive and aware, ready to engage with those 8 standards? What's the one thing you can do? You can ask them, what's going on? What's the problem? Let's say your child comes to you and says, well, I just don't understand. That's typically what the kids say to me. I don't understand, Miss Tiffany. I don't get it. Okay, what don't you get? I don't know. Okay, that's because this is with everybody. This is with every human being on the planet. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. That is a direct sign that there is some functional illiteracy going on. If you can't explain to me, right, in narrative, expository, something is disconnected. So what do I have to do there? I most likely have to show you. I have to give you a choice. Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Very tedious. And I'm not saying that, certain teachers do or don't do this. I'm not saying that. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is it has been proven to me. This is why the Imagireader system works. This is why I've spent the last 16 years of my life doing it, that our children need one-on-one. They need one-on-one first and foremost. Second thing they need is prior knowledge. This is why they can't sometimes conceptualize their answer, because they've never been exposed to it. They've never seen it otherwise, heard it otherwise. And so I say that to say that ask your baby, what's going on? Whatever they give you, I hope it's something. If they say, I don't know, that's different. There's some things that you can do there. But again, and you can show them, okay, so is it this? Is it that? And take that to the individual who's teaching them, who's supporting them, coaching them, tutoring them, whatever. I would love to embrace your child digitally in the iReadE Academy. But I'm saying this generally. This is about reaching as many children as possible and getting them to level up their literacy game, period. So ask the child what's going on. Ask them. Whatever they say, you can look back at those standards and say, okay, so here's the breakdown. That's the easiest way. And then going further than that, which we're going to get into, Brain's going to help us lead. We're going to move back to those 7 key areas of readiness, right? Because it could be a multitude of things. Oftentimes, for me, it's confidence. It just is. Our kids really, it's not about patting them on the back or, oh, you can do it. It's about them knowing that they can do it, right? Some of our children feel so far behind that they don't even want to try. And now, again, with them constantly being on devices, it's just a recipe for disaster. But there's no child that I've met that cannot improve. And I'm not saying that being cocky. I'm saying it because children have the neuroplasticity to expand, but they need to be in the environment that would allow them to do that. So So this was one of the first questions. And again, if you have questions, I hope I haven't lost you by now. But if you have questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. This was one of the first ones from the mom who said, I'm not going to be able to make it, Tiff. I'm just getting home. She's a nurse. I'm not going to be able to make it. But I can send you my question. So, and this is where it is. So she said, my child struggles with sounding out words. What can I do? Remember when I said I don't like phonics? I tried my best to answer this diplomatically. Number one, as a musician, as an educator, I first and foremost understand that every single child has a learning temperament. A learning temperament is very different from a learning style. Okay. Your learning temperament has more to do with your fight or flight response, how comfortable you are, what you're willing to do in that environment, the influences in that environment, i.e. peer pressure and or mentoring. There are a lot of different variables that go into learning temperament. That temperament can change at any time. Okay. It's one of the reasons why I evaluate that in the True IQ. Temperament. Because your style, what you gravitate to, you hear, see, feel, taste, that's completely different. That's contingent upon how comfortable you are. So in this instance, the question is, my child struggles with sounding out words. What can I do? So brain already told you, he processes sounds in the auditory cortex and speech in the Broca's area. So singing, again, I'm a musician. This is probably why I get it, right? Rhyming games, Baby Shark. Me and my son was talking about this the other day. That's the most widely watched video on YouTube. It's like, wow, billions of views. But it was catchy and it appealed to those areas of the brain. So you think singing, this is why our children pick up music that they probably shouldn't be listening to, but that's another story. Those learning an instrument, learning music, trust me, when I have to switch from work to creating a beat to singing a song to, yeah, I'm in a totally different area. But it's strengthening my auditory cortex and it's allowing me to, next time I go and make some music, it's so easy. It's easy for me, period. Just that's another thing. But I'm saying it to say, if your child is struggling sounding out words, it could be that cortex needs to be activated. Now, one thing you can do, deep breathing, like I said, that's always going to turn the brain on. It could be a matter of food, fitness, or function. And if it's all three, brain got you some ideas here. We need to get the brain some food, okay? Some healthier options if you're not into fish are Brussels sprouts. I don't care for Brussels sprouts, but you know, tofu, spinach. You can do hemp seeds, chia seeds. You can do whatever seed you like. But integrating those into the diet could very well help to strengthen that auditory cortex and get that child to better sound out words. Now, of course, it's going to be practice, right? But remember, that's contingent upon temperament. So what I suggest there is find someone, if you don't entrust your child to me, find someone that can practice deliberately with them. Maybe it's you, mom, dad, grandma, granddad, auntie, uncle, whomever in the community. Practice. Okay. I'm glad that the question was sounding out words instead of this next one. Well, maybe I don't think I did. Maybe I did. Sight words. We'll talk about that. So this next one was, my child hates reading. How can I change that? This is like my favorite question in the world. In the world. I mean, my initial response is always, your baby don't hate reading. That's not true. They number one, ain't met me. Number two, they haven't found what is enjoyable about reading. Not the right book, because that's something different. We can't even get there yet. I can't give you a book and say, well, read it. You'll like it. That doesn't make any sense. It's what has to happen before I introduce you to the book, right? So for me, it's a conversation of, well, what do you like? For instance, one of the students we had in the academy in October, He loves video games. So guess what we did? His book study was about video games. And we started with Sonic. My youngest loves Sonic. So it was super, super easy for me to transition into that conversation with him. Well, he's a strong reader. His issue was fluency. And guess what? What we started working on was video game terms for him to up his fluency. So I say that to say, there are ways that you can move your Imagireader from hating to read to loving to read. Of course, it's going to be consistency. But before we even get to a place where we're saying, well, just give them books about the things that they love, there are subtle ways that you can introduce the concept of reading a book, conversation about the topic, demonstration of the topic even. There are many, many ways. And if we're asking brain says, yo, I need my space. One of the things that I found, you may see it in a classroom, reading nooks, they have beanbag chairs, they have all kinds of stuff. Create the environment for the baby, right? Focus on rewards, because that's going to be, of course, I mean, I don't know that I condone actually saying, hey, well, I'll give you this if you read. I mean, you still got to read, baby. But if you want to make it more comfortable, maybe a favorite food, a favorite drink, something that says, you know what, I recognize your investment and I'm going to also make an investment. So create space, create a nook, create a special area, beanbag chair, something with your snack or drink or toy, whatever it is. And this is your dedicated reading time, no matter what you're reading, because there are several ways that you can actually read. But 20 minutes, this is what you get. Thank you very much. The other thing is to help that limbic system. What's that reward system, if you will, according to brain, is activity. So, you know, when we think of reading, we think of stress relieving, right? Calm, happy, all of that. What you can do, of course, is you can do some jumping jacks. You can do some jumping jacks. You can do some exercise. You can do all of that and kind of get them tired out. That way they're ready to de-stress. They're ready to de-stress. They're ready to engage. They're more inclined to want to settle down. They may fall asleep, but remember, it doesn't matter. They're reading. All right. So that's the second question. I see we only have a few more minutes. All right. Now this was a big one. So I didn't include, I have to get back to her. I didn't include the sight word question. This is a big one. I see this often too. How can I explain this one? The easiest way to explain this one, and I see this in upper levels, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen this at 9th grade. I've seen this at 10th grade when I used to substitute, and I would just be so sad. This is, I want you to try. I commend you for trying. But what I found is what happens is children, they don't correct themselves. And so what I do is I always say, let's go back to that. One more time. Give me that one more time. One more time. When they're attempting to read something and they're guessing, and I can always tell, right? You're reading, especially if it's a long passage. So this goes back to temperament. Mom, dad, grandma, granddad, whomever it is. Remember, your child is wired the way they're wired for a reason. Their temperament has a lot to do with how they learn and develop. If you're giving them a lot of text and they're already like not very attentive, yeah, no, it's not going to work. But if there's a long piece of text that they need to read and they're just breezing through it and they're stumbling over some words, but they're just going through it, yeah, we need to correct them. But you wait till they're finished with the text. Let's do that again. Let's run that back. You know, the music, let's rewind. Let's go through it again. I've seen this often. There are a few reasons why, again, related to the temperament, but it's also the text. And we can talk about that offline. When your child is guessing at words instead of reading them, clear indication that there is a disconnect. It's also a clear indication that there is what we call, there's in the proficiency part of the academy, I present the 3 kinds of proficiencies. They're all in a triangle: literacy, language, and communication. Clear disconnect in the literacy proficiency, right? But then on upward through language, because that's the exchange, and then communication. So that means talk to the baby. Use the words they stumbling over. This is why, sometimes use it in a sentence so that they can encapsulate the meaning, so that they can identify it. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. But again, this is going back to visual cortex. So they're not, just like before we talked about the auditory cortex. And remember, cortex, your cortex is going to be central station. If you need definitions on different parts of the brain, we do that in the academy. But if you need it as a parent, I got you. So the visual cortex could be off. Now I could get into organs that are related to that and so forth. And I could do all of that. But we're not going to do that for this question. We're going to focus on something. You're not seeing something because it's not registered. You don't understand the meaning, right? And there's a breakdown in your literacy proficiency, your language proficiency, of course, and your communication proficiency. You're not putting it together. So in that way, practice. We grew up on highlights as children. Highlights are really, really good. Find the picture, Mad Libs even, because what you're doing is you're activating the left side of the brain that you need to, so that you can start to recognize the words. So slowing the child down, of course, having them reread it, run that back one more time. And this is where the frustration normally comes, but this is also where you can tie in that limbic. Boy, I know this is long, but I got something for you. As soon as you finish, I got something for you, right? It could be $1, who cares? Something to just have them to slow down and go back. Now, I can tell you matter of factly that these are just 3 questions. Like I said, I thought I picked the other one, but I didn't. Our children need the time and space to make mistakes. Okay, they do. They need the time and space to make. I'm reminding myself of that every day as a mom myself. Our children need to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We have to make mistakes. Otherwise, we never improve. They need to be able to feel as if they can make those mistakes. Okay. In a world that just tells you how to be perfect everywhere you look, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. I used to be a perfectionist. I retired because it was too haughty. What I am suggesting parents do, educators do, community leaders, those who are actively interested, is give the child space to fail. Give the child space to make mistakes. Spend the one-on-one time with them that they need, accounting for their learning style, their learning temperament. Will be called on, in essence, going through those 7 phases of readiness, their true IQ. Those standardized tests only give you a snapshot of what's going on. It's a very small snapshot, and that snapshot is used for intents and purposes that school districts have outlined. You want to know exactly what's going on with your child. If you're interested in that true IQ, I got you. If you're interested in enrolling your baby in the iReady Academy, I got you. But what I want to make very plain is that we need to give our children the resources and the tools that they need to improve their multimodal critical literacy skills. We have to do that. Why? Gen AI is here, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to close because we're 5 minutes over. If you ask anybody who's in tech, they will tell you that the present future is multimodal prompting, multimodal engineering. Well, doesn't that make sense? Because multimodal literacy skills is what we're improving. If, in fact, we don't do this for our children, a lot of children, they're already left behind. But those who can't grasp basic concepts, they're going to be left behind even more. And we can afford that. And so this year I'm dedicated to leveling up 3 million children. Hence why I created the iReadE Academy, because I wanted to have something for children to not just have empty screen time. It's digital, right? All of our characters, as you can see here, all the Imagireading peeps are here, and it's powered by Google's Gemini. Okay, Google gave us the yes. I'm so excited. So we get to put Google Gemini on it. We have 2 specific AI courses. And once that child, if the child is enrolled, once they actually finish the second one, they will be certified, because there is a EU treaty out right now that says these are the ways that AI can be used in education. Your child will be a master of that. They'll already have that in their portfolio, no matter what they do, no matter how young they are. I'd say all this to say, I encourage you to continue to work with your child. If you have questions about what's going on with them, again, hit me up. Let me go back to that slide. But I really, overall, I hope this was helpful. If it wasn't, tell me what I can do next time. I don't know that we're planning to do another one, but tell me what I can do. Because again, my mission is 3 million children this year, 3 million children. So I've been putting in work. I'm happy to hear from parents, and I appreciate everybody for joining. I appreciate everybody from joining. Again, whether you're joining now or whether you're joining later, I invite you to send me your questions. So there are no other questions. Let me take this off the screen. Oh, I guess I can't. That's okay. I'm going to leave it up just in case. But if you don't have any questions, thank you for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it. I miss my Tulsa family. Oh, I miss my Tulsa family. I'm coming back. More than welcome. More than welcome. Send me your questions. Like I said, whether you're watching now or whether you're watching later, kiss those babies for me, Mom, please. Hug yourself. That would be wonderful. It's always good to see you. And thank you for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.